Okay, I would like to continue with game 6. You see, guys, this is a real middle game book because through practical examples, games that he played, he proves his point. So why you should have it also if it's a book that is based on games maybe from 100 years ago? Because chess didn't really change. And when you are going to progress, to improve your chess, in any case, you will pass through the phases and the understanding that is outlined in chess praxis. So at a certain point, you will become stronger than that if you become like international master or grandmaster and discover different things. But up to that moment, up to the level of master, this is a great book to understand the middle game phase and why some elements are important. So let me continue and show you game 6. Okay, game 6 was played in London in 1927. White is F.D. Yeats, a famous player of that period, and black is our friend Ninsovic. E4, C5, knight F3, knight F6, E5, knight D5, bishop C4, knight B6, bishop E2, knight C6. And here there is a diagram, and Ninsovic says white has lost time with the bishop. On the other hand, black's knight is not too well posted at b6, right? So the maneuver with the bishop is not to be condemned. As you can see, he's also teaching us about the opening. c3, very important move because it takes away 2 squares to black and can play eventually d4. However, c3, the problem is this knight that cannot go there, right? d5, and now there is d4. Maybe here white could have played the en passant and it was better, okay? That was definitely a consideration, but e takes d6 is better than d4. c takes d4, c takes d4, and bishop f5, castle, e6, knight c3, bishop e7, and then there is knight e1. Here Ninsovic makes a consideration saying that if the attack made by this move was possible or like this, once the kicker, he would prove that bishop f5 was a bad move, but he says that this is not true and that knight e1 doesn't achieve much. Let's see what happens, okay? Knight d7, and here he plays bishop g4 and he gives an exclamation point, and he says ingenious play. In fact, he says after f4 he would play knight takes d4. So guys, can you see why you cannot take back? So if black takes, why you cannot play this move? Because of this, okay? So that's the reason. So that's also why f4 is not a good idea. As you can see, f4 creates a weakness and a problem on this diagonal. So one must be very, very careful in moving the pawns because they don't go back. Okay, so bishop g4, which is hailed as good move, bishop g6, f4, knight takes d4, and here there is a beautiful move by white because also white has a chance to play, right? The move is knight takes d5. So why, guys, do you think e takes d5 is very bad? Because after e takes d5, white plays bishop takes d7 check, right? And when you play queen takes d7, finally white can play queen takes d4. Why? Because there is not anymore the knight d7 to play bishop c5 and have this kind of problem. So what does black do? He plays knight c6 because he cannot play e takes d5, okay? Knight takes c7, and now what do you think black will play? Black played queen b6 check, king h1, knight takes e7. A great move, right, at this point. Here white continue with queen a4, and he says here we have a typical mistake which we spoke in our preliminary note. Black clearly intends to occupy the central points and white should fight for them instead of running away from the center with queen a4. So as you can see, is speaking about the center. This game is a great example for the center. Now, keep in mind that the hyper-modern school that Nintsovich represents is based on fighting, controlling the center from far. Okay, so that's kind of interesting too. Okay, so how did black continue? h5. And here he plays bishop h3. Now bishop f3 wasn't so good because of knight f5, and then he could try to play h4, knight g3 check. When you take, he takes back and is checkmate because the diagonal is making black control g1. I don't know if you understood what I'm saying. Tack, 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 and checkmate, okay? So this you need to be able to visualize it, okay? That's very, very important. And as you can see, to see the game is also very important because you see the reason why I didn't play bishop f3. Okay, so after bishop h3, black still want to do that thing of giving checkmate, right? So what does he do? He plays bishop f5, queen e3, because he wants to try to support and defend the king side, and now there is queen b5 threatening a checkmate here. But is also making room for the knight, this knight, because he could go to b6 and d5. Again, as you can see, he's trying to control the center and making his pieces as active as possible. king g1, knight b6, queen f3, knight b, d5, b3, and now there is queen b6 check again. Rook f2 and rook c8. It says this move in connection with a nest causes one of the rooks to be decentralized and creates a flaw in a position so harmoniously built up in other respect. It seems that black should have played castle like this. I don't know. As you can see, with the hindsight, yes, we could think, yeah, great move and so on and so forth. But obviously, it doesn't make sense for a human, right, to play that kind of move. So rook c8 makes more sense to me. Bishop d2 and rook h6. Also here, Ninsovic still think that black should have castle and put the rook in the center. Again, yeah, maybe, but I don't know, honestly. Here there is a series of moves without any kind of comment. Rook d1, bishop takes h3, queen takes h3, knight f5, queen d3, rook g6, knight f3, rook g4, h3, rook g3, a4, and knight h4. Obviously you cannot take because, okay. Black, in view of this disposition of forces, is torn between two opposite aims. The fact that the two rooks are separated makes a mating attack appear desirable, but the rest of the army is better placed for the endgame. The knight at d5 is formidable for that purpose, and black would be in undisputed possession of the light squares. King f1, rook c6. In order to neutralize the potential white threat, queen h7 and queen g8, the rook vacates the fourth rank in good time. Black must, in any event, watch both wings carefully. a5, queen d8, king g1, probably to avoid some kind of discovery check, knight f5, king h2, a6, and queen b1, threatening knight d4. Yeah, because once the queen is not here, he can play knight d4, right? But at this point, he plays queen e7. So the idea is queen c5, knight d4. Obviously that loses. It was better rook c1 because this is what they are fighting for. Instead, knight d4 is not good. Why? Because now black can play another move that is good. What would you play if you were black here? Keep in mind that there is a possibility of a checkmate attack, right? So the move is queen h4. And here you say, what happens if I takes on c6? If you takes on c6, black takes on h3. And if he goes on g1, rook h1, checkmate. If he takes here, instead even worse, because there is queen takes f2, king h1, knight g3, checkmate. So that's the reason why at this point white has some big problems. Bishop e1, knight takes f4, and here are the last breaths of the white. Rook takes f4. What would you play if you were black? Okay. The move is rook takes h3, check. G takes h3, queen takes f4, king g2, and the final move is knight e3, check. So this file is controlled by black, and it's white turn. What does he do, right, in this situation? If he plays this, there is queen f1, and then queen g2, checkmate. So what does he play? Maybe he plays this, right? Also, if he plays that, I think it's easy to see the checkmate. Check, mate. So it says for this game, black was awarded a prize for the best played game. Once again, let's remind you that the game was played in London in 1927, and this was Chess Praxis, a beautiful book full of games that will teach you all the middle game elements and all the ideas that you should know. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.